It's a powerful party, and the party is totally joined with the fake news media, the lamestream media right there. And they're totally joined with the big tech. Big tech. I don't know, Section 230. Does anyone know what Section 230 you do? Section 230, I think, wow. You know, tremendous corruption on behalf of the Biden. Tremendous. Do you know you can't find it anywhere in the media other than the New York Post, which I'm very proud of, and they endorsed me the other day, too, by the way. But you can't find it anywhere in the media, anywhere. It's not on it's not in Facebook. They have trending. They always put me trending. They'll give you 25 things that I've done over my life. They make it negative, always negative trending. But Sleepy Joe Biden, with all the corruption, all the theft, all the money they took out of these countries that we end up paying for in spades, you can't find it on big tech, and you can't find it at the Washington Post, the New York Times, because they're crooked, they're dishonest, and we caught them.
Right now, as I speak to you, I scan the CNN.com website. Right, CNN.com is one of the biggest liberal news sites in the world. They've got stories like, economy's final report card before election shows stunning growth. That's not the whole story. Oh, of course. Trump is taking credit for the biggest and best GDP in U.S. history. Here are the facts. This is a giant... Okay, the GDP is really good, but actually, it's not really Trump. That's what they're doing here on the page. And then there's some stuff on Hurricane Zeta. Thoughts and prayers go out to everybody down in Louisiana, Mississippi, that area. I know they've been hit pretty hard by this one. Then they've got push to slow testing tracks with dramatic decline in one key state. So that's right. The Trump, you scan the front page of CNN.com, and what it's telling you is Trump should get no credit for the massive GDP growth quarter we just had, and also they're trying to lie about COVID numbers right before the election by slowing down testing. That's the main stuff on CNN. Is there anything about Hunter Biden's emails? In fact, I have yet to see a single Hunter Biden story of any kind on CNN, other than people who are doing media criticism of those outlets that are talking about Hunter Biden.
Brian Stelter's like, it's so bad what they're doing. We're honest journalists. We have no partisan axe to grind.
You go to NBC News. The economy is showing signs of recovery. Many black Americans are not. I don't even know. And they have that under the title Racial Reckoning. Record turnout in Texas' largest county could be key to flipping a solidly red state. This is NBC News, okay? This is one of the big, kind of watered down socialist left-wing Democrat news sites. And, this is the big corporate-friendly, family-friendly brand, NBC News, Brian Williams. Not anymore. Now it's Lester Holt, but I just love that Brian Williams was their guy. And then they have in the center, I just want to point out what when I talk to you about narrative and propaganda and what the other side does, we're 5 days from an election, and they're telling you Texas might get flipped blue. The black community is struggling in ways that show that, Trump is not getting it done here with the economy. I'm just looking at the headlines. I'm telling you, I'm not even reading these articles necessarily. Because most people just look at the front page, read some headlines, and go about their business. Very few people, when you look at news stories, get past the first 3 paragraphs. That's the way it actually works. But they have in the center here, a family endeavor. Oh, I'm sorry. They must have, it's about family corruption. This must be a Hunter Biden story, right? A family endeavor. Emails show how the mix of personal and official. Oh, no, wait. Emails show how the Pompeos mixed personal and official business. Isn't this incredible gaslighting? This is a top story. This is the banner. This is in the first eye line that you will see when you click on NBCnews.com. A family endeavor. Emails show how Pompeo's mixed personal and official business. That's right. They're not going to cover the Hunter Biden emails and the personal business of Joe Biden, but they will cover the Pompeo emails. You know what they've got? They've got Pompeo for so far. They think that one of his assistants may have like walked his dog at one point or something. You know, that's what they really go for here. That's the kind of stuff that really upsets them. Or might have picked up his dry cleaning. One of the Secretary of State's assistants may have done something that's technically a personal favor. And, you know, oh my gosh. I mean, this is what we're up against, friends. So there's just a blackout, as we know, about the Hunter Biden emails and those stories, and that's not going to change. That's the media's perspective on all this. They are all in for Biden. That's not going to change. There was something that was very strange. As you know, Tucker Carlson's show, and I've been saying Tucker's show is the best show on Fox, and that's been the case all year, and the ratings obviously show that now, and it's the only Fox News show that's had me on this year, which I also think is interesting. The only show at Fox News that has me on is Tucker Carlson's show. But Tucker did that great interview with Bobulinski, who was very compelling, very credible, earlier this week. But then last night on his show, Tucker had to tell everybody about something else that happened. Play clip 20.
So on Monday of this week, we received from a source a collection of confidential documents related to the Biden family. We believe those documents are authentic, they're real, and they're damning. At the time we received them, my executive producer, Justin Wells, and I were in Los Angeles preparing to interview Tony Bobulinski about the Biden's business dealings in China, Ukraine, and other countries. So we texted a producer in New York, and we asked him to send those documents to us in LA, and he did that. So Monday afternoon of this week, he shipped those documents overnight to California with a large national carrier, a brand name company that we've used, you've used countless times with never a single problem. But the Biden documents never arrived in Los Angeles. Tuesday morning, we received word from the shipping company that our package had been opened and the contents were missing. The documents had disappeared. Now, to its credit, the company took this very seriously and immediately began a search. They traced the envelope from the moment our producers dropped it off in Manhattan on Monday all the way to 3:44 a.m. yesterday morning. That's when an employee at a sorting facility in another state noticed that our package was open and empty. Apparently it had been opened, but they found nothing. Those documents have vanished. As of tonight, the company has no idea and no working theory even.
No idea what happened. I'm guessing this was UPS. It could be FedEx. They didn't want to say which company, but it's I'm sorry. No, I'm guessing it was FedEx, not UPS. Well, I guess it could be either. Who cares? Point is, they have pretty good, point-to-point monitoring. And their loss is less than what you get, especially for things if it's, overnighted, if it's high priority. Their loss level is less even than the U.S. Postal Service, which loses about 1% of the mail, as I understand it, overall. And they have no idea what happened. Somebody went in, just happened to go in and get this. I don't have an answer here, and I don't like baseless conspiracy theories at all. And I have to also say that the impression I get is that they were hard copy documents, and they didn't scan them and create copies. That's bad information security practice. So, look, people make mistakes. I get it. Very busy election cycle. And who really thinks that the documents are going to disappear if you send them FedEx or UPS? I think very few people would have. But here we are. What could have happened here? Why would somebody go into these documents or go into this package and take out these pieces of paper of all the stuff out there right now? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but as you know, I'm also not a coincidence theorist. Does anybody have a plausible explanation for this? Does anybody want to try to venture a guess as to what the company is baffled? It's not like Tucker and Fox are saying, hey, something weird happened, and FedEx is like, well, or UPS, those are the breaks. They're like, whoa, this is weird. And if what Tucker was saying is not true, I'm sure they would put out a statement right away to say that's not fair. We have an answer for this. It got stuck in the sorting machine and got ripped up, whatever it is. But no, everyone's saying, yeah, something happened here. what's the answer? What do we really think occurred in this instance? I don't know, but it does seem pretty fishy, and it seems like quite a coincidence. How would they have known that these, that this document, that these, this package had Hunter Biden related documents in it? I have no idea. Could it just be a lightning strike situation? Maybe. Do you think it is random chance? I wouldn't bet on it.
The former vice president has been doing this for 47 years. He's been doing it badly. This is a group that he supports. He doesn't want to condemn them. I saw that. He doesn't want to condemn them. You have to condemn. You have to be strong.
Citywide curfew in effect now following 2 nights of protests and looting in Philadelphia. This all happened because of what seems to be an entirely justified shooting involving a man named Walter Wallace Jr., who had a knife in his hand. He was brandishing the knife. He did not drop it, and he was within 10 feet of 2 police officers, and they shot him. And I don't know what they think, meaning the BLM activists, the Democrat Party, what they think is supposed to happen here instead of this. And also anybody that believes people showing up to a Walmart or a Target or a CVS or whatever with moving equipment so they can get like the really good expensive stuff and easily transport it to their home or to wherever they're going to try to sell it if they're not going to keep it themselves. If that has anything to do with justice, they're crazy. It's not justice. It's an excuse. It's people who are victimizing innocents, right? Those store owners, those people that are running these businesses and the employees, even because I know that there's this whole left-wing narrative of national chains. They can afford to lose the money. They can afford to lose the money. A lot of national chains are independently operated franchises. People don't realize this. It's true of a lot of fast food restaurants, for example. And there was a Chick-fil-A that was just destroyed, ransacked, vandalized. What are you destroying a Chick-fil-A for? Right? This is not about making a better country. This is not about justice. And Philadelphia may have another night of it. In fact, here in New York, I know in New York City, they were preparing Bloomingdale's for possible riots. They're boarding it up now. I mean, we have to go through this, keep going through this. And they should just start hitting people who do this stuff with really serious gang looting, and arson and violence charges when appropriate. People should really start spending some time in prison for this stuff. That's the only way it's going to stop. Otherwise, if you're going to have catch and release, you're going to have no cash bail. And Barry Krasner, who is the Soros-loved DA of Philadelphia, this guy's a far left-wing radical. You know what he gave a statement on yesterday? He gave a really tough law enforcement statement. He says, we're really going to bring down the wrath of my prosecutorial powers. Oh, not on the looters. They were told that they just needed to disperse and that none of them would face really serious charges. There are reports out about that already, that they already knew if they got caught, okay, they'll process them, they'll let them go, nothing happens. No, the DA in Philadelphia, Krasner, is calling out Donald Trump because Trump wants there to be poll watchers in Philadelphia. And Krasner saying, if there's anything that we think is illegal going on with the election, we're going to come after you. Yeah, I don't think the president of the United States is super scared of the district attorney of Philadelphia. But nonetheless, this is where we are, friends. The Democrat Party has showed you what they're all about here for months. Joe Biden even realizes this is a bad look. It's a bad look in one of the absolute key states here. You got to win Pennsylvania to win this election. I think all of the data is showing us this. Whoever wins I think it's clear to say you cannot win this election for either side without winning Pennsylvania. That's what the data is telling me right now as I read it. I don't see a way. I don't see a pathway. Unless there's some crazy stuff that happens with Ohio and Florida. But That doesn't seem to be the case. So here is Biden telling everybody what he needs to say right now, but the Democrat Party and the media will not magnify, which is, yeah, maybe you shouldn't do all this looting and rioting stuff. Play 17.
What do you say to Philadelphia residents that are outraged by yet another unarmed black man being shot by police?
What I say is that there is no excuse whatsoever for the looting and the violence. None whatsoever. I think to be able to protest is totally legitimate. It's totally reasonable. But I think that the looting is just, as the victim's father said, do not do this. It's not what my son, you're not helping. You're hurting. You're not helping my son.
Friends, here we are being told by a journalist first. Did you hear that? What do you say about people that are outraged about another unarmed black man being shot by police in Philadelphia? He had a big knife. He wasn't unarmed. Well, now we're just going to say people are unarmed when they're armed? Is this the new way we're going to do this? Start with that. And then Biden, he wants to do this thing of, the protests are legitimate. Why are the protests legitimate? They're legal. Protest is legal, sure. And unlike Democrats, I don't want to take away people's right to use the First Amendment. I don't want to suppress their speech. I think speech should be protected. I think gathering for speech should be protected. But if we're looking at the righteousness of the cause of the protest, what exactly is being protested here? Cops didn't do anything wrong, folks. Let's just all be clear about this. What did the cops do wrong? They're supposed to wait till they get stabbed? Is that now the new standard? What's the protest about? People protest because they're angry about something and they have a message and they want change. What is the message here? Sometimes people will attack cops and they will get shot. It happens to black people. It happens to white people. It happens to people in this country of all races and backgrounds. What's the story here? They don't even pretend like they're making a serious argument, a serious case. A guy gets killed, and we're supposed to assume, well, he's black, the cops are white, therefore this is a racist incident that shows how rotten the system is. He was coming at cops with a knife. End of story. And this isn't even the first time this has happened in the last few months in Philadelphia. You cannot come at people with a lethal weapon and expect that they're going to just let you ignore their commands when they're in a law enforcement position. And this guy's a criminal in the past. He's violent crimes. Come on, folks. The protests are legitimate. No, the protests are legal. Is the cause legitimate for this case? I don't think so. Recently, I got a crash course in home title theft. And look, you better pray this crime never happens to you, because if it does, it could ruin you financially. Here's how it works. Cyber thieves find your home's title online because that's where it's stored, online, in the cloud. And then they hack in, they kick you off of the deed to your home using a quitclaim deed, put themselves on, take out loans against the equity in your home. And you often don't find out about this until you're getting the payment notices in the mail or perhaps even a foreclosure notice. The usual identity theft services do not protect you, so you have to take action today with Home Title Lock. HomeTitleLock.com. Use the promo code radio and you'll get 30 free days of protection. You can also check on the site to see if you're a victim of this crime and don't even know it. HomeTitleLock.com. Use that promo code radio for 30 free days of protection, and you can check to see if you're a victim of home title theft already and don't know it. Take action today. Yes, Trump would have a very different approach to the economy, a much better one. I think that's clear, although I know the libs are arguing that till they're blue in the face. Blue in the face. See what I did there? But sure enough, there's no way to separate that from COVID response as well, and the future of how the two different political parties, two different candidates in this case, would deal with COVID. And here's what the president's trying to remind everybody. Play 10.
If you vote for Biden, it means no kids in school, no graduations, no weddings, no Thanksgiving, no Christmas, and no 4th of July together. Other than that, you have a wonderful life.
It's true. I mean, in essence, not on the specifics, but it does mean schools will continue to be shut down. You won't be able to have graduations. The Democrats are completely devoted to all these ideas, and they don't want it to change anytime soon. They've created an atmosphere of fear, and now we all have to live in it. They've created an irrational intolerance for any risk whatsoever, including for those who are at very low risk. I mean, when this disease was spreading in the early days in New York City, and we were worse hit by it than anywhere else, as you know, I was on the subway 4 times a day. And in the most crowded places, I was in bars and restaurants. I mean, I was basically walking around begging to get COVID. I didn't know it at the time. And if they would let me, I would go back to most of that activity tomorrow, knowing that I could get the disease and knowing that my immunity, once I beat it, assuming I beat it, which I'm willing to roll the dice on that, knowing that it wouldn't last forever, but I think it would last long enough that we'd be in better shape by the next time around. I'd have to worry about it, if at all. But this is where we are in the country right now. You can either have a Biden administration that has had all these people in the media and all these left-wing activists just constantly pushing the panic porn stuff, telling us, oh, remember there was a, what was it, the Kawasaki disease for kids. We were supposed to be so worried about that tied into COVID. This rare disorder, there was nothing there, it all disappeared. And, long COVID, people are saying that, oh, you never really get better. And then there's all this stuff, oh, maybe your lungs are always destroyed and ruined. And they keep running these stories and stories and stories. There's really very little follow-up to it. And what they should be doing is looking at things like remdesivir. Does it really work? Most recent studies say no. But remember, remdesivir good, hydroxychloroquine bad. That's what we were told. Remdesivir got approved, even though it really doesn't do very much. And they've done big trials of it now, but it still got approved. This is largely just driven by perception. They think that might shorten, I think in 30% of people, it maybe shortened their stay in the hospital by a few days, they think. But how do they know people weren't just getting better anyway? It's very, very skimpy evidence for remdesivir being a really major tool against this. Not a cure, but a tool against this. Probably not even as good as Tamiflu against the flu. And as somebody who's had the flu a couple times and remembers, you can take Tamiflu, but a lot of doctors will say, you might get better a day or two sooner, but, I wouldn't worry about it. Just get a lot of rest, take good care of yourself, you'll be okay. That's often the approach. But so you have the Trump version of how we're going to deal with this, which is reopening things. Here, the White House Press Secretary Kelly McEnany has also laid this out so that everyone's very clear on it. Play 15.
Look, the American people have a very clear choice when it comes to COVID. You can vote on Joe Biden, where you will be locked down. Your schools will be closed. Your churches will be closed. You won't have social gatherings. It will be a lockdown versus President Trump, where we are safely reopening this country. Americans deserve jobs. They deserve freedom. Joe Biden's modeling his strategy, which is lockdown in the basement. But this president has surged therapeutics and testing and a vaccine in record time. We can control this, but at the same time, we can open this country and not lock down like Joe Biden will do.
Amen. Notice the Biden plan for for Build Back Better is always, I'm going to listen to the scientists. I'm going to listen to them, man. No joke. No joke. Biden loves to say that. He's got these pseudo-folksy phrases that he's just honed over decades of spewing political bullcrap to get elected to office and do very little once he's there. One of his favorites was, no joke. I'm not kidding. No joke. Oh, wow. Joe, it's like you've rolled up your work shirt and you're sitting next to me at the little kitchen table and just telling me about the hard day's work, riding the choo-choo with your lunch pail. Give me a break. But he's out there telling everybody they'll listen to the experts and wear a mask. Their only strategy is wear a mask and be afraid. That's it. They have nothing else. Listen to the experts. What do the experts tell us? Avoid people and wear masks. That's what the experts... There's always this pretense, This make-believe approach from Biden and the media and the Democrats that if only Trump would listen to the geniuses out there who are telling him what to do, everything would be better. Okay, what are those geniuses saying? What is Fauci saying? What's Dr. Fauci telling you what to do? Wear a mask. Okay, we're wearing masks. We're wearing masks. Virus is still surging, but we're wearing our masks. You know what they're going to say in 2 or 3 months when there are going to be a lot more cases of this? I think the death rate will be considerably lower than it was when it hit us the first time around, but there'll be a lot more cases of this. You know what they're going to say? Not wearing masks enough. I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think it's ever possible to wear masks enough, according to people for whom the only real response to this virus and the only thing we have to do is to wear masks? You think they'll ever admit that maybe that's not enough, not even close to enough? They will not. I can tell you that right now. But Joe Biden, he's got a fever, and the only prescription is more mask wearing. Play 18.
And we discussed again the vital importance of wearing masks, of protecting yourself, protecting your neighbor, and to save around 100,000 lives in the months ahead between now and just after the first of the year. This is not political. It's patriotic. Wearing a mask. Wear one. Period.
Wear one. Period. He also likes to do that. No joke, folks. No joke. Period. Wow, that's really impressive stuff, Joe Biden. Yeah, wearing a mask. You know where they wear masks and have mask mandates? Major European countries like Italy and Spain, where they have huge spikes in cases right now and are going through just straight up stay-at-home order lockdowns. That's what they're heading for, if they're not there already. They've been wearing masks. But I thought that's all we had to do. Now they'll come up with some theory. Oh, it's because of young people in the summertime Really? That's what it's because of? Long indoor exposure to an infected person is how this gets spread. We all know that. So unless you're going to avoid being indoors with other human beings, you're probably going to be exposed to this at some point if you have not been already. That's where we are. This idea that if we all just wear masks, we're going to be able to beat this thing, that was never the promise in the beginning. It was never, guys, just wear masks. This thing will go away in 2 weeks. Just wear masks. In 60 days, we'll be done. Maybe we could have done that. Maybe we would have been willing to give that a shot. But no, instead, it's always, we're not doing it enough. We're not doing it enough. Here's the worst. I put up a poll today on Twitter, and much to my surprise, the poll was about whether or not Trump should, who should Trump, when he wins re-election, the first person he should fire is, and the options were Fauci and Christopher Wray, the FBI director. And so the top infectious disease specialist in the federal government or the top federal investigator, FBI guy, Christopher Wray. About 80% of the tens of thousands of people who replied to that thought Wray should be the first person to be fired. And I got to tell you, I think it should be the Fauci. I think that Fauci is a much better choice for getting the boot. Here he is. Remember, listen to the experts. Listen to the experts. I can assure you we're going to be listening to the experts, and it's not going to work, and then they're going to blame us. And when I say us, they're going to blame Trump supporters. The worst results for COVID are in blue, very, very blue places in America. But the reason we still have COVID is because of Trump and Republicans somehow. Isn't that a fascinating cognitive dissonance that they have just embraced? Here's the Fauci. Just telling you, look, it's really important you listen to him because he's out there letting you know it's going to get worse. Things are going to get terrible. We're never going to be done with this thing. You're probably going to wear masks and social distance and have no fun and no life all next year. Maybe another year after that. I'm not going to say it's not going to be at least 3 years, but it could be 3. It could be 10, honestly. But you got to do everything I say. But at least for 3 years, maybe 2, you're going to have to not see grandma or your mom and dad or have any time with loved ones in an enclosed space. Just be outside with them from 50 feet away. No hugs. But this is good because if you get this, there's like a 1 in 10,000 chance you could die. So you can't take that risk. No one's allowed to take that risk. That's pretty much Fauci for you. Here he is, 13.
This is going to get worse because we're going more into a colder season as we get through the fall and into the winter. With the holiday season going, we've got to do something different. We can't just let this happen. We're going to have many more hospitalizations, and that will inevitably lead to more deaths. So this is an untenable situation.
Untenable situation in the winter. Okay. Does everybody remember what happened in March? Lockdown. Stay-at-home orders. Businesses closed. Everyone terrified, staying in their homes. Did this go away in 60 days? No, it actually shot up like I was going to say stock market crash. That's the wrong direction, but jumped up like a tidal wave. There we go. And now we pretend like if we just do what we did that time, what exactly? Oh, even if it doesn't seem like it's working, it would have been worse. That's the other standard. They have created an unfalsifiable approach to COVID-19. Do what we say. When it doesn't really work, we'll say you either didn't do it well enough or it would have been much worse. Gee. Maybe also what they're telling us just doesn't work, but you're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed. When I say doesn't work, maybe it delays the spread by some percentile or some factor, but delaying the spread doesn't actually, if you're looking at it on a public health, from a 30,000 foot view, then what are you putting yourself through all this for? The UK, I think the latest data is that they think they've had a 70% increase in suicides. And a lot of people tragically commit suicide in America every year. UK thinks they've had a 70% increase. That's the latest data that I saw. But don't worry. Oh, and all the cancers that they're finding even in Canada now, where they haven't had as bad a time with COVID as we have, but inoperable cancers that could have been identified earlier, but people weren't going. But don't worry about any of those costs. Be scared. Listen to Fauci. Do what he says, or else. We're going to get the or else anyway. That's what I'm telling you. There's no future in which Fauci says, "Great job, everybody. You listen to me. We didn't have terrible things with the virus." No, it's going to get bad. It's not going to be as bad as it was. And he's going to say, keep doing the annoying, stupid things you don't want to do. Keep masking up in between bites of food. And if you don't, and it's because you haven't done that we've had the cases that we've had. When in reality, the public health authorities in this country are just impotent when it comes to doing anything about this. They can't do anything. They don't really have an answer. Freezing society in place was considered too crazy and too destructive for a much worse disease when they were modeling this out in the past than what we currently have. But that's really effectively the only answer they can give you. The more open we are, the more people come into contact with each other, just like a common cold, the more this is going to spread. That is just what's going to happen. They can try to say that mitigation. It's not going to stop it. It hasn't stopped it before. But Fauci wants a national mask mandate, and I want to start screaming F-bombs on the radio when he says this stuff. Play 14. Play clip 14.
You're using the word mandating masks. Yes, if that works, let's do it. I don't think it's going to happen nationally.
Why?
If it doesn't happen nationally, the reason is because it may not come from the White House to do it.
The reason we won't have a national mask mandate is because of the bad Trump guy, but I'm not political. Here's something for you to think about. Fauci has complained about being used in Trump ads. Fauci has not complained about the fact that he is called out by name by Biden, including on Biden's website, as the guy he'll listen to, clearly politicizing his advice on this. But the Democrat is fine. It's Trump that he's got a problem with. But he's not political. Not political. Sure he isn't. If nothing else, we got to have Trump win next week just to hear Pelosi whine about it afterwards. It's going to be so amazing. She's talking so much smack right now. She's talking crazy.
the president's not gonna. He's not enough of a
Man, play 5, Mark.
But the easiest thing for him to do is to stand up like a man and accept the results of an election of the American people. For him to make these kinds of statements shows his lack of patriotism, his undermining of our elections, while he allows foreign countries like his friend Putin to undermine the integrity of our election. He himself is doing it as well. But let's forget about him. Let's get on with the future. Let's have the results counted properly, that everybody's vote is counted as cast. Let's unify the country as we go forward. Joe Biden is a great unifier.
Yeah. Just like Nancy Pelosi's a great unifier. It's as though words have no meaning to Democrats, you know? They can sit there and trash Trump and all of his supporters and say all these terrible things. Say Trump's not man enough to accept his loss.
But she wants to unify the country. She just wants what's best for the children.
Sure you do, Nancy. The Chardonnay socialist. This is who the Democrats have as the most powerful elected member of their party. Isn't that all you really need to know? This is the best. I mean, you know, you look at our side, you get people like, I don't know, you get people like Jim Jordan. You get like real solid dudes, solid ladies. And you look at their side, you just get these flimsy frauds, these rich, liberal, snooty frauds like Pelosi.